Ethan, Chris, and Stacy have generously offered to share with all of you some ways that they are using AI. So super grateful to them for doing that. And I am gathering up the next round of agency owners so we can do this again, probably in late June or early July. And we're just going to keep doing this as long as people are finding new ways to use AI, which I suspect means we'll be doing it for a while. I will send out the recording, so you'll have that to share with your team, or if you have to scoot out, or for those of you that are trying to get in and the room is full already, you're now going to see this on the recording. So Ethan, do you want to start?
Yeah, you bet.
So I'm going to watch the clock pretty tightly. So you guys each have between 10 and 15 minutes. And I'm watching the chat. So if somebody has questions, you can put them in the chat and I will interrupt whoever's presenting. All right, you're up, Ethan.
All right, well, hello, everybody. I'm Ethan Whitehill. I'm the president and chief creative officer of an agency called Crux. And our focus is really helping small and medium-sized businesses grow through a model that combines fractional CMOs with a marketing department as a service sort of function. And for us, AI is going to become more and more an invaluable tool to us because we're working with people that typically have smaller budgets. You know, they're either early stage companies that have some maybe venture backing, or they're family owned companies that are trying to reinvent themselves. But at the end of the day, they don't have the budgets that a lot of big brands have. And they come to us because, you know, they lack that marketing function in-house. They lack the dollars, they lack the time. It's been a crazy niche for us because it's grown phenomenally over the last few years. I've been with Crux almost 2 years, and in the last year we grew over 100% just serving this market. So we need tools like this to really do what we do and do it efficiently. And I'm calling this AI accelerated design. I'm really focusing on the use of Midjourney as I talk, but we're employing ChatGPT. We're using market research tools that employ AI. I mean, it's hard to do something in our realm anymore without tapping into AI in some way, shape, or form. So I threw this up here because you know, all the doomsayers about AI, you know, it can be a little daunting, I think, thinking about the future and what this means to, you know, not only maybe our jobs, but some people see it as an existential threat. And so I think this is kind of a good reminder of Asimov's 3 laws of robotics. If you're a fan of Isaac Asimov and iRobot, I'll just throw them up there. I won't go through them, but the point of this is I created Crux's 3 laws of AI. So, you know, as we think about AI, as we talk about AI, especially to our clients, you know, these are things that I think are important. And the first one is the law of co-creation. So this is how we think about it. AI in advertising should function as a catalyst for human creativity rather than a substitute. It should amplify and inspire human ingenuity, not discourage or diminish creative effort. You know, what you see, I think, in phase 1 of applying AI is people tend to sort of default and just sort of let AI do the work. And what we're finding is that doesn't work either. You know, you do need a human hand at the wheel, kind of guiding and directing it. And it comes through. You know, the end product, if it doesn't have a human element, is very telling. The second law is the law of transparent truth. And so this is really kind of that truth in advertising thing that I think AI needs to be responsible for as well. AI-generated advertising content and imagery that may mislead or confuse consumers must clearly be labeled as artificial to prevent deception. If you're just using ChatGPT to kind of like accelerate your copywriting and it is original thought and you're just using it to close the gaps, you don't need to disclose that. But if you're creating an image that actually looks like it could be real, but it could be concerning to somebody, I think it's important to disclose that. And then lastly, the law of artistic integrity. And this is just to be eyes wide open. Midjourney, it draws upon a database that, you know, could pull inspiration from anywhere, and it could be copyrighted inspiration. It could be, you know, the signature of a particular artist. And we want to make sure that we respect that and we're not getting too close to the sun on some of those things that we produce. And that really is up to the person who's actually directing and training that AI to make sure the product is original. So just a couple thoughts. Now, the example I'm going to provide is really a package design project that we did in Midjourney. And Midjourney is a powerful tool. It doesn't quite get hands right yet. But what we found is it's a really cool way to rapid prototype and really shrink the design cycle tremendously. And when we got into this, I was a little surprised how good it was when it comes to three-dimensional product design, giving it prompts that actually look at, for example, an 8-ounce pouch that would be perfect for a nut and seed brand. It gives you a really good base template that then it can, design on top of. Through this process, we actually created a little definition around how we use it. Again, this is kind of something that if anybody wants to borrow it, please do. But this is how we explain our design process using AI. And the first step is define, and it starts with a brief, but that brief then informs prompts. It gives you the neighborhood you want to be in with the end product of whatever illustration or image you're producing. And then you're training the AI. You're not going to get the best product out of Midjourney first go around typically. You got to keep dialing in and giving more prompts and providing more information, reference images and other things to get closer there. And then you generate. And once you generate, you get into a cycle where you're refining and regenerating again to get tighter and tighter into the image you want. One thing, if you've been using Midjourney a lot, you probably know you can actually change aspect ratios. What we found is sometimes the little box is not enough in terms of the square output of Midjourney. We're starting to do --AR 16:9 to get 16:9 aspect ratios, which gives you really better visual presentations for creative and then a more useful end product as well. Number 5 is evaluating. So you're kind of choosing the best, you're upscaling that best product, and then you're iterating. And in that, I guess, between evaluate and iterate, what we found, and I'll show you in our design cycle, it gives us a really good directional input that we can share to the client for their feedback. And that, again, is a great way when you have clients who are not visual, who can't picture things. And I actually just found out there's a small percentage of the population that literally cannot close their eyes and imagine something. Like, they cannot picture things. And I'm convinced a lot of clients are that way. And it's just one of those ways of putting a picture in front of them that is close to what you're describing to help them see it and help kind of get the thumbs up, thumbs down as you move forward. But you move into iteration, and a lot of times for us, that iteration can get into concept testing, where we've used, if you're not familiar with M4, it's a mobile app that allows you to do consumer testing very quickly with package design and other things. And I'll show you an example. But from the iteration cycle, once you get your direction kind of validated, then you create your final product. And it takes, in our point of view, it takes a human hand to absolutely create that final product. So we start with style boards, and this is something, again, that surprises me about Midjourney. It actually does an interesting job if you just give it a style board prompt and then you provide some input around that. It will give you things like this. So we started working with it's a sprouted nut and seed product. We gave it prompts kind of around some of the key brand standards or the brand elements, as well as kind of personality and sort of design direction in those prompts. And it produced 4 style boards. And, they're not perfect, but it saves us a lot of time going out online and hunting for images just to find, the perfect thing to throw into our concept or our mood board. And, it's not great at fonts. It comes up with, some kind of funny things, but in terms of color palettes, in terms of imagery, in terms of even textures and illustration, these are the kinds of things that you can get out with a style board prompt. What we took away from this, actually, that it really played, they're from Ojai, California. It played on the landscape. It played on some botanical imagery here, some illustrations, and you'll see that show up in some of the work that I'm about to share. And the color palettes, which were also pretty inspiring for us. So all of this led to 4 conceptual directions. We started with a style board as input. Talavera tile, as an example. You see a lot of this around Ojai, California, so we built a concept around it. And we asked for Midjourney to build one concept around a package design for a sprouted nut and seed product playing into Talavera tile. This is the output. So the form factor of the package was surprising to me. It was very close to the reality of the shape of the package as just sort of a base format. And then it came up with some really, really beautiful designs that could inspire some later work for us. So this allowed us to rapidly put something in front of a client and say, do you like this? Or do you like this? And we went to another concept, which we called landscape lines. So I shared the imagery and the style board of those hills. And we said, let's kind of pull out that idea, look at topo lines and other things, look at line art illustrations that you see in this kind of America's Southwest. And what can we come up with? And this was the Midjourney output of that concept. So you see very different approach to the last concept and gives us a very different way in that is still relatively close to where we want to land as a brand. Another concept we called Farmers Market. We used input around botanical art and very organic produce sort of imagery. And we got this product, which then introduced more line art and just, really nice hero images of product. Again, the nuts aren't exactly almonds. Or, you gotta kind of take it with sort of that dream world fantasy sort of approach that Midjourney produces. But directionally, it gives us some really tight comps that we can show a client and get their yes or no on that particular direction. And then we explored something we call clean and pure, which was a whole nother approach tied into our concept of Purely Sprouted, which is the name of the brand. And we said, okay, what if we stripped it away and we just had the package do a lot of hard work with photography? And this is kind of where we landed there. So the results allowed us to narrow down 3 conceptual directions. And this is now taking sort of the human hand to it and building on the inspiration we got from Midjourney. We had 3 conceptual directions that we took to M4. We deployed that in a mobile panel to over 300 consumers. We got responses and feedback, and it was interesting because they all tested very well. One of them was sort of our standout winner, and we realized that there were some elements of the other 2 that we wanted to pull through. So A had some colors that they responded to. B had some line art illustrations in the background that I think tested well. And then C, just for its simplicity, really scored high. So that was the direction we ultimately went. And the final package looked like this. So when it all came together, it was very much a product of that early inspiration that we created in Midjourney, coming together with refinement based on the research we did, and then further discussions with the client, and then dialing into sort of the strategy that we wanted to approach on the shelf. So that is a good example of the way we're iterating rapidly with Midjourney.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And right under the wire of your time too.
Excellent.
All right, Stace, you're up. So Ethan, if you'll stop sharing, there you go.
Yeah. Are y'all all seeing a screen that's not totally loaded yet?
No, now we're there. Now we're loaded.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to talk to y'all about how we utilize AI to speed things up. My name's Stacey Jones. I'm the owner and founder of Hollywood Branded. We're based out in Los Angeles, 16 years in business. What we do is we're a pop culture partnerships agency. We work with brands to integrate them into content such as movies and TV shows through product placement and integration, celebrity endorsements, influencer marketing, anything in the land of pop culture. And all of these things that we do, we have figured out how to leverage with AI to a degree. We embraced AI as a writing tool. Our agency writes blogs on a daily basis. We have over 1,600 blogs published. We do a podcast that I'm the host of. We have over 35 episodes of that. We have so many things that we do that are general to agency work as well. Client emails, press releases, media pitches, anything that we need to write. We are now having our team go to ChatGPT or some of the other platforms such as Jasper, which is a fee-based service, or Perplexity, which is better for stats and facts and will actually give you where you're getting the information from. This was a game changer at our agency to start incorporating it. And it was interesting because we had some team members say that, they were surprised. They felt like they were breaking the rules, that they were surprised that they were able to use something that would help them so much on a daily basis. And it really just took a couple of weeks of mandating that people run their content through it to see that when you write well, you can write even better when you're utilizing a tool. So these are all different ways that we actually are utilizing it right now. What we're going to dive into in just a minute is how all of y'all can actually write a blog in under 10 minutes too. So from legal contracts, looking up and understanding what a phrase actually means or how we want to actually change it. If it's something that we haven't seen before, if it's going to be just a brainstorming session, if we have new landing pages and we just need to tighten the copy. If we want to outline literally anything under the sun, our team leverages ChatGPT to do that. We also do it to find stats and look at case studies and do general research. Okay, here's a week of my life in the last 7 days, and I just opened up ChatGPT to see what I had actually used it for. So I wrote a book outline, wrote an email to a celebrity that's a potential client. I edited my weekly HubSpot newsletter. So I write it, but I go through and I use it, and it helps me even more than Grammarly, even though Grammarly sometimes fixes ChatGPT, which is interesting. So just to tighten again and edit. Looked up some interesting facts, by the way. Do not keep butter in your freezer for more than 9 months. It is a fact. It does go rancid. Prep for TV interview on ageism in Hollywood. I ran a medication check for my mom. It's great for your, own personal things that you need to check on too. Outlined a new business idea. I wrote 3 client proposals. I built a 2-day international workshop pitch for a TV network. Edited guest interviews for our blog. And this was literally all within just a 7-day time period. And it allowed me to sleep a little bit more at night. The number one trick that we use when we're working with AI to write content is to look just a little crazy. You want to talk out loud. You want to ask it questions. You want to make it your own personal assistant. So just as if you were instructing an assistant who is next to you to make a little change or do something a little differently, saying it out loud and giving it the words of how you would talk to another human being is going to actually sculpt the writing and your feedback that you get better. So the big question here is, and I know Drew is such a great thought leader. If y'all haven't read his book, I am going to again plug it, buy it, get it, read it, because everyone here should be and really needs to be a thought leader and leveraging content so that you can make your agency stand out. AI levels the playing field. There's no reason why everyone cannot write, and this is going to show you how. So we had a real life agency challenge that came up with another agency that was talking to and saying that, they were looking at trying to cross over from the tourism marketing niche to a broader base of working with outdoor brands. And this is how you could do it, in my opinion, of leveraging blogging, just to establish your expertise and expand into a new business pipeline. So you would go over to ChatGPT, and whatever it is that you want to do and change, you're going to ask it to write a blog outline about something to market blank products. You're going to ask it also to include, a certain number of examples or case studies. So in this case, we said, write blog outline about how brands can partner with tourism boards to market outdoor products. Include at least 10 case studies. So here it is, and it wrote an entire outline for me just off of that prompt. If I wanted to, I could go back and ask it to change the case studies. I could ask it to provide and include specific case studies. So with a ChatGPT, as you're writing it, it's going to remember the 3,000 words that are above it. And so you're training it and you're teaching it as you're going along. And it's really important to start, if you're going to be doing a writing project, with an outline, because it helps it actually get its own brain a little bit more in order. So start with an outline every single time. This is what came up when I said, in a fun and smart voice, write a minimum of 2,000 word article using outline. You can ask it to do anything. It's not going to be specific. It's not going to get you exactly 2,000 words, but it knows that it's a long form blog now. You can change your voice. You can sound like anything you would like. I have written so much online that if I write in the voice of Stacey Jones of Hollywood Branded, write blah, 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 whatever it comes out with sounds just like me. It's really freaky. My assistant uses it now, but it does work. So the more you actually get content out there, the more it's going to be scraping and finding and sourcing your agency and showing it too. On a side note, Perplexity.ai, again, I mentioned it for stats and research because ChatGPT is not so good at that. Perplexity is great because I can use it, put in questions, and I will actually see my agency referenced as a source. So it's really kind of an interesting way to do a backdoor route of checking SEO and seeing how your long form keywords are actually showing up. So here's some other things in extension. Once you've actually written, you can ask it to write your titles of your blog. So write titles 70 characters or less. You can ask it to write a blog introduction. You can ask it to write your meta description that's less than 155 characters. You can write a summary of the article. Anything that you would need to produce content, you can do. What I love using it for is actually social media. I had never written with emojis. Now all of my LinkedIn feed has emojis in it all over the place because you can literally say, write a social post for, and you can let it know which type of social platform you want so that it can come out and give you the export of what it should look like. Twitter's going to be shorter, right? LinkedIn's going to be longer. You can ask it to include emojis. You can ask it to do a call to action. You can include your hashtag, you can include your website. It will source and pull information about you as well. This is something that we use as well on, here's the outline. So if you took that blog, you could then turn it into a webinar. So here I just created it to be a little bit longer. So now it's same topic. And then I could ask it to write the script for the webinar. You can do an email introducing an article. You can do an email really for anything, by the way, but if you literally say, write an email to Carl about the fact that we're going to be late on this proposal and we hope his day is going really well. It will do that. It's going to make you sound really smart, and it's going to add in some filler and fluff that actually ties everything better together. You can ask it to write other blog ideas. You can ask it to do literally any extension from that. And that is it. If you want this cheat, I'm sure you can get it from Drew, but you can also download it at bit.ly at AI for Agencies. So there you go. That is
Awesome. Thank you. In your deck, and can you send me a link to that blog post? A couple people want just to see it more closely, just to actually look at the.
Yeah, you can have the whole presentation, and then it's at that link too. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. I'll get the presentations from all three presenters, and those will be included with the replay link for sure. All right, Chris, you are up. Hey, Stace, can you drop that bit.ly link into the chat? And by the way, you're my favorite for mentioning the book.
I really strive to be, but guys, really, honestly, it is a solidly great book. Chapter by chapter will give you the tools and building blocks. Stephen and Andrew did a really excellent job.
Thank you.
Really excellent.
Totally my favorite.
All right. Can you see me?
You can see your screen. Yep.
Okay, great. I'm Chris. I own Vibrant Brands. We're a branding and digital advertising agency in upstate New York. And basically, we're diving really deep on AI and implementing it. So I'm just wanted to give you some tips on what we've seen and what we're seeing work, some of the pitfalls and some of the things that we're doing. So I'm going to just cover basically how we're using it currently briefly.
Is your keynote on some sort of strobe?
No, let me.
Doesn't want to trigger anybody's like epileptic seizure.
Is everybody blinking?
Is anybody seeing that solid? It's blinking
No.
for others.
Blinking.
Yeah.
Okay, is it still blinking?
No, but now we don't see it full screen. We see we see the font choices and things like that.
Well,
That's all right. You can go through it this way without.
Okay, I'll just go through it like this. Just
Yeah.
I'll try
Just
to
to-
figure them.
not
So
to throw
basically,
into a seizure.
how we're currently using it, staff implementation, and then policies, and how we're kind of talking to the clients about it. So, first off, I'm sure, hopefully you guys have experimented with Midjourney by now. we're having all sorts of fun with it every day, doing different things, whether it be people made of vegetables or designing instruments made of glass. Barbie is a Jedi, Donald Trump is a Barbie, Tom Cruise on a cruise, or Tom Cruise is a woman. And there's a reason I just shared that, which I'm going to tell you about in a second. So more practically, we work with actually a lot of financial and credit unions, and sometimes we're asked in the branding process to come up with ideas for what their lobbies and stuff might look like. So literally going into something like Midjourney and saying, design me a credit union lobby designed for young people, and it'll give us a bunch of options, and then we can adjust it and we can play with it. Or something more practical, and again, just going back and forth. And then we might just put this on initial mood boards if we're doing at the initial phases of a branding project. Also, more practically, a client needed a very simple illustration of a bee on a flower, and just able to just do this much quicker than a stock search or something like that. Also, concepts like lightning in a bottle, or energy coming out of someone's head. These are all things we're using in the creative. So using it as stock photography gets us there a lot quicker than searching through stock. I don't know how many of you might have looked at some of these other tools, but some of the things that we have our eye on are, if you go to brandcrowd.com, type in a business name, type in what the business does, it'll generate 300 logos. Not to say this is a logo that our agency would want to just give out of the box, but as far as idea generation for the designers, it's giving us such an immense amount of ideas and things we can use. We can download the EPS, we can modify it, we can adjust it. Durable.co, you can build a website in 30 seconds. I'm sure sometimes you're asked to donate work or donate sites, or you have some type of small little project that, especially if you're subbing out your website work, you can basically build a website, 30 seconds, go in, make a bunch of edits, and then push the site live. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Crazy.
Same thing with sound. We can AI generate audio tracks if the client has a tight budget, they don't want to spend money on audio. You can pick the mood, select everything you need to select, and just pop the audio right in the back of your video you're working on. And then I think ChatGPT got covered really well, but one thing I think would be good for everybody to do is, I'm sure everyone has some trip coming up at some point in the future, whether it be a vacation or work trip. Use ChatGPT as a search. And obviously we know it can write everything and proposals and client work, but use it to plan your trip. Say, tell me the 10 best steak restaurants in this town. And then, tell me now, and then in the conversation, now remove any that don't have outdoor seating. Like, very conversational. I think what it'll do for you is really show you the future of what is going to happen to search and why this is such a big threat to search engine marketing. Because I don't need to see ads, I don't need to see websites, I don't need to go through TripAdvisor. I can just use ChatGPT. So in addition to everyone using it at the agency, I just think that's something to experiment with. So a big one, staff implementation. So the values I see immediately to our clients is, faster and more relevant content, higher quality creative with many more options, incredible photo, audio, and video options. And basically, one of the things that we're dealing with is getting the staff to adopt it, which we did pretty early on. And so the first thing I did was I did live demos because I was pretty excited about this when I started seeing it come out. And I let them know, because you could almost feel it when you're showing them, copy being generated in a second and these images being generated. The designers and the writers and the videographers are thinking, well, how does this affect my job? How does this affect my job? And really, I repositioned it like, this is going to make you more effective. This is going to be able to make you do a lot more in a shorter amount of time. And it's going to allow you to really focus on the stuff that needs that extra TLC and that human touch. Whereas, like, let's say the 50th blog post about car insurance, we'll let ChatGPT do 90% of that. So I reassured them, gave them lots of demos. I made the software readily available. I got them all ChatGPT. I got them all subscriptions in Midjourney. This wasn't stuff I made them kind of like wait for ChatGPT to be available. The prices for these things are so small. We just are about to launch the staff giving us presentations now that they've been doing this and they've been using the tools and they've been finding their own tools and they know that this is totally 100% okay with our agency to use. Now they're actually going to give us internal presentations at our weekly meeting, basically, one a week, a different individual, on what the latest thing they're doing with AI is, because they've started to kind of go off in their own directions and find their own tools. We do have a policy on usage that's pretty basic. I generated with ChatGPT and then I edited it. And then any staff that are not really implementing it, I meet with them individually and I talk to them about it. We've had some resistance, like with a developer that doesn't want to use it to generate a block of code or something like that. So I talk with them. I really push them on it because I think it's going to be so integral for them and the future, not whether it be with us or with somebody else. And then, one of the big examples, and I'm sure some of you have seen this, but, and I use this as an example for my staff. One of the images that kind of went a little bit viral was the lava eating contest. So someone on Midjourney generated a contest basically with people eating lava, which was, absurd, but typical Midjourney. And around the office, we were talking, well, how long until they, we're going to be able to just prompt-based video. We're going to say, give me a video of the lava eating contest. And I'm thinking a year, 2 years, and literally a week later, and I think you guys can see my video, somebody had taken the software from Midjourney and the output, and then they put it into Runway ML, and they created an artificial intelligence generated video of lava eating. So it's moving fast. So if we're here now, where are we going to be in a year? I mean, I can't even imagine. Drew's just going to basically say, put me in the new Top Gun movie, and then Drew will be in the F-15 flying around. So it's pretty cool. So I asked some of our staff just to tell me their daily usage. Again, I won't go too deep into ChatGPT. They're using it for blogging and writing and web pages and all that good stuff. Also, obviously for brainstorming, we do a lot of naming and things like that, and just coming up with ideas for all of that. The writers are using it all the time for that type of stuff. Adobe Firefly, if you haven't signed up for that yet, you should, because there's a wait list. Basically, once you get in, the designers are using it they'll take this example, she's working on a logo, and she basically used Firefly to generate variations of the vector and the clip art. For this was an explainer video that they were doing. They generated all the backgrounds with Adobe Firefly and then popped those in, and this is live on the internet right now as a commercial. And then even little things like the background element of this conference that's coming up, just went into Firefly, generated it, popped it in, rather than looking through, stock photography. And then I think the videographer is using it more and more. I think one of the coolest things, if you haven't experimented with it, 11 Labs, you can do voice cloning. I don't know if you guys can hear this.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to speak to you today about the incredible power of artificial
Can you guys hear that?
Yeah, we could hear it.
intelligence, or AI.
So that's my voice cloned on this, and this guy is
AI
speaking.
has revolutionized the way we live and work.
So one of the things for, let's say you do a video shoot and it's somewhere and you do the whole shoot, and then you want the guy to say an additional sentence. Hey, can we have you say this with voice cloning? Rather than going out there, reshooting it, doing any of that, we just can voice clone it, have the guy say it, put it in, saving, a fortune. I mean, obviously you could also use it to create, talking head videos. So this particular video was made in under 20 minutes using a combination of voice cloning. So I didn't say any of that stuff. It basically just took a script from ChatGPT, cloned my voice, had it say it, and then you put it over this other person speaking. 20 minutes, talking head video, done. This. I'm sure some of you have seen this, but the only reason we haven't used this yet is because it's pretty new. You can any of you that are using the Creative Suite, you can download the beta for the new Photoshop, and they have a thing called Generative Fill. And so basically what it does is you can create an area and then you tell it what you want to happen in that area, and then it'll generate it in that area. You can make a horizontal image vertical. It can do all sorts of cool things. And this is available right now. You can download the beta of this. You can, like what they're doing here is they select the deer, they say put it in a street alley at night, makes a street alley, circle this area, say put a sign in there, and it's gonna pop a sign in there. I mean, this stuff is just crazy. So this is just out now. And so we're just starting to use this. And just another example of that, this actually was made in Midjourney, and then they used Generative Fill to fill the rest of the area. All in, so see, this was a huge missing piece. I was showing my wife this, she's like, I don't get it. Why is this more powerful than Midjourney? I said, because Midjourney would generate something and you didn't have a lot of control over it. Now you can generate the thing in Midjourney or Firefly, and you can take this Generative Fill and you can fix all the problems and the issues with it. So this is just another massive advancement, again, within a couple of weeks of the last massive advancement. So client advisory, I'm running out of time. I really wanted my clients not to be coming to me and saying, oh, we heard about this, and why are you doing this? Or are you doing this? So we actually generated videos where I live demo this stuff. And that has started to, people are seeing the videos, and then I'm being asked to do more presentations. But I would send the videos to our clients and I'd say, hey, here's a video. And I just real simple, hey, we did this. Here's a long version and a short version. And I would send that to all my clients. And then usually, most of them actually watched it. Many of them wanted me to come in and live demo this stuff for them. And then some of them would just want me to email them, okay, how's this going to affect us? And I would give them an email. This is how it's going to immediately affect you, but it's changing every day. So to letting them know this is cutting edge. So yeah, I mean, and then I think I'm going to be sending this presentation to Drew. If you want something to follow, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm doing updates on AI regularly, but also if you're on Reddit, definitely follow Midjourney to have your mind blown like daily. And also Illuna.ai on Instagram is really great at kind of whatever the latest thing in AI is. So, and this is what I said to my staff whenever they're giving me this is my last slide. They would say, oh, well, it doesn't do this, or it doesn't do that, or humans are better at this. And my response to that is, what it does not do today, it will do tomorrow. And we're seeing that happen week by week. So it's about embracing it and using it. And that's my time.
Thanks, Chris. All right, so Sandy asked the question, has anyone put in a wireframe into Midjourney to see how it designs a site? Has anybody played with that?
I have not uploaded a wireframe, but I have given Midjourney specific instructions and said, I want a hero image. Below that, I want some body copy. Below that, I want this. Below that, I want that. And it generated, it tried to generate what I was asking for.
Huh. All right, guys, questions for Ethan, Stacy, or Chris? Just unmute yourself and ask them. I have a question for all three of you. Are any of you changing your pricing in any way? So I think one of the fears many agency owners have is that clients are going to expect us to reduce our prices because we're faster or it's not taking as much human capital. And are you finding, those of you that are using it, Ethan, Chris, and Stacy, and then I'll open that question up to anybody, are you finding clients are asking for discounts, or are you able to still charge the same amount of money even though you're doing it more efficiently?
Yeah, I'll,
Right.
I'll jump in. No, we're not seeing any requests to lower our rates. In fact, we disclose to our clients how we're using these tools in our process. And if anything, they kind of lean in a little closer and they're even more excited about that process. And especially as we were doing the package design, this was done actually earlier this year. And they were just excited to be on the cutting edge of that technology and how we're using it. So I didn't see it that way. I saw them actually adding value to us because they saw us as an innovator.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. We're having clients asking us if we can put together workshops for them, come in, do trainings. And it's actually allowing us to start thinking about creating a new something that we could charge for.
Yeah, I think, right now, I think we're still in a window where the clients are reading about this stuff, but they don't really know what's going on. So they don't know to demand things for less. And I know we don't like to necessarily speculate on the future, but I just got to say, I think the low end of what we do is going to be obliterated. Like, why would I spend, let's say, $2,500 on a logo for a pizza joint when I can go to brandcrowd.com and generate 300 in 3 seconds? So I think the expertise and the putting the pieces together and the execution for us agencies that are of a significant level size, whether it be in expertise or manpower, I think can survive if it's adapted. But I think we're in a window right now where things are a little bit different.
Chris, somebody asked if you're charging your clients or other folks for the live demos. Are you just doing that to increase your own knowledge and position yourself as a thought leader, or are you charging for it?
Oh no, my clients would not be happy if I charged them for that. I do that for free.
Yeah. Other questions for these three or the group at large?
Hey, this is Tom Martin. Sorry, my camera's not working. But quick question on the Mid-Journey. Are you finding any really good resources to help write better Mid-Journey prompts? Because what I'm experiencing with it is that, that it's a far more difficult prompt to write than in like a ChatGPT world. And if you really know what you're doing, you seem to be able to generate incredible stuff. And if you don't, you get garbage. Any thoughts on those, or things you're doing or learning, or techniques that you're finding are providing or producing better quality images faster?
Yeah, I think we just look at a lot of the prompts in other projects on Midjourney. We kind of look to them for guidance and kind of find which ones seem to be working and borrow and pick up prompts and kind of build a library around that. The other thing is just the reference images that you can provide to give it some ballpark to build on. That we found very helpful. The Reddit that was shared earlier, I think that's probably a good source of direction as well.
Yeah, if you scroll through that Reddit, if you don't have Reddit, you could just get the Reddit app, download it just for that. Follow Midjourney, and there's a bunch of people that are posting links to like different prompt commands that, it's if you don't have Midjourney, it's very clunky to use. But there's all sorts of links to all sorts of better, cool ways to prompt to get what you want.
Yeah.
How do you budget for this technology? It sounds like you all have multiple platforms here that you've mentioned. Is it everyone in the agency having access, or are you kind of limiting it? I'm just curious.
So one thing, a lot of these tools are free or very inexpensive. So Midjourney it's I don't even remember what I paid, but I think it's like $20 a month or something, for access to the full tool set. The one little note too, I don't know if anybody uses Microsoft Edge, but Microsoft Edge gives you access to ChatGPT. And it's basically the Microsoft browser. And if you have everybody install that, then boom, they've got access to it. And there's a free ChatGPT to get to the 4.0 version, which is a better version you pay. But it's all so inexpensive, and there are ways to get it to most of your team through those tools.
Yeah, we're using ChatGPT 3.5 for free for everyone. We have our content creators who write more, who do more editing, who are on paid plans with Jasper or ChatGPT 4. Perplexity still free. There's so many different platforms that are. What we do pay for, and I find a lot of value from, is Grammarly. So if you guys are using that, what's great is it will, Jasper does this too, and it's a super cool trick where there is a Chrome extension plugin for Jasper. And if you're on Canva or if you're in HubSpot or you're on anything that's an online platform and you're writing, you'll get a little arrow inside the content you're writing on screen, including in Canva. You press it and it will start generating content for you and running with it. So it's really a tool that you can teach your team to start using as a help and as a prompt, and it's becoming extremely intertwined.
Other questions? Some interesting conversation in the chat as well, which, by the way, I will include in the replay notes, but several people are offering up some other suggestions. Other
I
questions?
have a quick, I have a
ahead.
quick question. How are folks, are you worried about either plagiarism or taking other people's work? What's the kind of check process that you have to ensure kind of the integrity of the material?
I can jump in. No one.
Yep.
So I will say that as far as written, we do a lot of tests. We'll even put it through third-party platforms just to do verification, depending on how much content we're writing. When we're encouraging our team to write and use ChatGPT or another platform, we're also asking them to utilize their own minds and ideas and sculpt it and craft it. So it's less of a concern about that from what we're seeing versus imagery. And what's interesting is when you're using a perplexity.ai or something along those lines, it is citing the tools and the sources. So you're able to actually do references back.
Great.
Other questions? Somebody said, what third-party platforms are you using to test the text?
I will add that onto that page because I don't remember, but I have
Okay.
them, but I will add it to our deck on the last page.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, again, Ethan, Chris, Stacy, thank you so much for pulling together your decks and sharing how you're using AI. Appreciate it. If any of you are using AI and are using different tools than what we've talked about so far in the series, feel free to reach out to me if you would like to be one of the presenters for the next one. So just trying to get as much variety of tools and exposure for all of you as we can. So certainly open to that. All right.
Great.
All right, you guys, thank you very much.